Hello, welcome to FreightWaves Now Thursday edition. We are here with great relief that the chief meteorologist is back in town so we can interpret what is happening nationwide across our great country. And also, we have Donny Gilbert back in town. He often gives us a take from a broker's point of view, but in general right now, he's going to be talking to us about freight volumes, freight conditions, and what is happening with tender rejections as well. So let's get started. Nick Austin, welcome back.
Thank you, Chad.
You know, I was looking at some of these, some of the weather patterns over the past couple of days and thinking if there was anything that I might be able to say about them, and I realized that it's harder than meets the eye. So I just didn't even try.
Well, I'm glad to be back to help you out.
So update us, man.
But today it's actually...
I see a blob.
I'd say you probably could have done it today because there's not a whole lot going on. But except for this one big blob across the south, as you call it, which is rain. Yeah, there's not really a lot of snow or ice across the country today, especially not over any large areas. There will be snow coming back tonight across the Sierra Nevada, surprise, surprise. But the two big issues today are a lot of heavy rain. We're talking about drenching, really heavy downpours in some parts of the southwest and southeastern states, moving out of Oklahoma and Texas, right across the lower Mississippi Valley and in the Tennessee Valley tonight. So a lot of those areas, they could also be thunderstorms with a lot of lightning. Heavy downpours could be areas of hail, severe storms, maybe even isolated tornadoes. And it could happen anywhere across this region right here. So it's not going to be a big tornado outbreak, but in isolated spots could be tornadoes along with the large hail. So, and some really gusty winds at times. And that's always a big concern for drivers, especially drivers who have to deadhead. So another area of concern as far as wind is across the eastern half of Maine today, including the I-95 corridor. There's going to be some really gusty winds there as well. Now, there's still flooding across the Midwest. That's not going to go away anytime soon. It's getting worse in some areas of the upper Midwest, in parts of Minnesota, the Dakotas, along the Red River and the Buffalo River.
Okay.
But there's also problems way further downstream across the Mississippi River too. So operators of oil refineries along the Mississippi, from St. Louis down to New Orleans, need to kind of watch out for that over the coming days, because the flooding could get worse in some of those areas.
Wow, lots to look at from just a rain, precipitation, blob perspective.
At least it's dry across some of the areas, especially the areas in the Midwest that were really hit the hardest back in mid-March at the beginning of all this flooding. Yeah. And one more thing to add about that, not all the farmers, but a lot of the farmers who lost a lot of stored grains that were damaged and drowned by that flooding, especially if they don't have business insurance, are not going to be able to recoup those losses. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, their relief aid programs typically don't include stored grain losses. It's just losses from livestock, from any crops that were already in the ground, or from not being able to plant crops because of bad weather. Congress would have to basically pass new laws and new policies. It would take an act of Congress, you're saying? And we know how long that can take. So I'm hoping that a lot of the farmers that had stored grains that they lost had business insurance, so they can at least recoup some of those losses. Yeah. But they probably all didn't have that. So that's pretty bad news for some of the farmers out there. That
is. Thanks for that takeaway, Nick. You know, the weather has been quite a headwind for a lot of not only freight, but also rail, very disruptive on the rail side, and will continue to be. And to bring us up to date, though, on where we stand with volumes right now on FreightWaves Now, Donny Gilbert, welcome back.
Good afternoon, Chad. How are you doing, sir?
Great, thank you.
All right, well, today we're going to start out with our national tender volumes, comparing it with our national tender rejects. Okay. So we've got it brought out here over 1 year, and today we are currently at 98.10 on our national volumes for today, and our tender rejects have continued to drop down to 5.17%.
That is as low as I've ever heard.
As low as we've ever seen. So we started off April 1st. April 1st is the first of the month, and it's also the first of the second quarter. So you'll see here, when we got towards the end of March, everybody was wanting to clear their docks. They wanted to get everything on the books, out the dock, so they can get as much on their volume reports for the end of the first quarter.
Yes.
So you'll see a kind of a tick up in the volumes, and then you'll see it start to drop down as soon as April 1st hit. And that's something that we see a lot at the beginning of the month.
Okay.
And even last year, you see it as we get into April, it dropped down.
Look at that.
At the beginning of April as well. So it's nothing to be alarmed about. It's what happens in the cycles of freight.
Nothing to see here.
And we'll see it start picking back up in April down here, as we saw it pick up as we get into April in 2018.
Whew, what a disparate.
Yes. And you see our tender volume rejects to start taking this long descent down to where we are today to 5.17. And this is the lowest that we've seen it in well over a year.
So the good news, bad news, good news is volumes
are holding steady. But we have a lot of excess capacity in the market this year. And with excess capacity, carriers are competing for freight. And so when you got the supply and demand, and there's a lot of supply of trucks, tender rejections are going down. And so until volumes pick up significantly, you're going to see our tender rejections fairly low for this year. And I'm hoping around mid-April, you're going to start seeing some produce cross into Texas from across the Laredo border. And that's going to start changing some markets through Texas and through Dallas. And as we get into May, you're going to start seeing it pick up in the Southeast. So hopefully that'll bring enough change to start turning around our tender rejections.
Some seasonality things.
Some seasonality.
Okay.
And going next to one of my favorite maps, Chad, is our heat maps.
Oh, yes, they're so fun.
They are so fun. This is the national volume heat map for the United States. So looking through, we see our big markets such as Atlanta, Chicago.
Heating up with the deeper blue.
With the deeper blue. And what's good about this is you see the rural markets around starting to heat up.
Yeah.
So you got Chicago in your Midwest, you got Indianapolis, you got some of your other markets around starting to heat up. Harrisburg, PA,
yes,
surrounding, and then of course our deep blues out here in the West. So
and even here in Houston.
Yes, so we're hoping as we go into the springtime, we're going to start seeing some of the more rural markets around, especially in the Southeast and the Midwest, start to turn a little bit more blue as volumes start to pick up. So today I wanted to look a little bit closer into Indianapolis.
Okay, yeah.
And a great Midwest market, normally fairly strong.
Kind of a mid-sized market.
It's a mid-size. It's 2% of the outbound volumes for the U.S.
Okay.
So that's a pretty strong market. Again, we get over here, we see volumes are at 192.17 for today, and our tender rejections. We saw this just a little while ago.
Yes.
Just like the national tender rejections, Indianapolis is following that pattern. It is all the way down to 5.90%.
It is a microcosm of what we're seeing nationally, yes, you're saying.
It is a great reflection. So here we see that 192 on the tender volumes, just below 200. If we back up to April last year, yeah, we're right around the 200 mark in April as well. So the volumes are pretty close to the same as last year.
Sure enough.
A little bit down, 2 or 3%, but we see our tender rejections in April for last year for Indianapolis around 25%, and now they've dropped down over 60% down to 5.90%. And it's the same issue. Again, there's a lot of excess capacity in the Indianapolis market, and that has brought our tender rejections down.
What does this do for, like the spot market compared to contracted rates? How are those being negotiated right now?
Right now, when you see the tender rejections fairly low, that means carriers have a lot less options. So when you go to the spot market, those rates are going to be pressed down. So shippers are taking advantage of this, and they're going to the spot market for same day of loads, and they're looking for carriers that really need to move their trucks. Oh, you really need to move your truck? I have you a load. Oh, you want this amount per mile? No, I want it cheaper. And they're taking it. So they're taking advantage of that.
Sure, okay.
So you see a lot of this happening. I brought up now for Indianapolis, I brought up our reefer tender rejections, and I've brought up our mid-haul. So again, you see the same type of pattern. These last several months have taken a nice long downturn.
But reefer is 3 times as high with the
reefer is
tender rejections.
But reefer came down from over 50% tender rejections rates.
Sure enough.
They've come down to 15.83%. So while these have come down a lot, the rates for reefers are still fairly strong when compared to the dry van market.
Right.
So when you go to the spot market and you start bidding reefer freight and you know that it's dropped down so much, don't go down too low, because over 10%, we still got a pretty strong market for the reefers.
Okay.
So dry vans have dropped down. They're even half of that to 7.32%. So I've brought here and showed you the mid-haul. The reason I brought you the mid-haul today is because today's Thursday. So thinking about carriers and what does a carrier want?
On Thursday.
On Thursday. So right now, to think forward to Friday, a lot of your carriers want long haul loads that'll give their driver miles for the weekend.
Yeah.
So on a Thursday, they like to position their trucks into a market that they can pick up a long haul load, or maybe a short haul load to get a driver home if they're going home. So particularly a mid-haul load to move a driver maybe from Indianapolis to Chicago, a short haul, and they can get a long haul out of Chicago.
Ah.
So those are down to 7.32%, and that's what a driver's going to want today. If not, they could go with a long haul load, but it's going to have to be something around the 1,500 mile mark or longer, because they don't want a driver getting 1,000 miles and being at the destination by Saturday evening and having to sit Sunday and not move their truck. So if you get them a super long haul load, 1,500 miles plus, they can get 500 miles Friday, 500 Saturday, and 500 Sunday.
If only it worked out so easily, right? But that would be good planning. And you know, you often give us the take from the broker's point of view. I know you're giving us an overview today, but if you're a broker, like how are you working and negotiating with the carrier and the shipper right now? I mean, is that essentially what everybody's looking for? Is get a little mid haul right now and then aim to do long haul over the weekend?
Yes, it's know what your carrier wants. There are several loads out of the Indianapolis market, but they might be going to markets that, you know, that are less appealing to carriers. So take that top 15, 20%. Get the loads that are going to major markets where they know they can turn their truck and keep the trucks rolling. Long haul loads, carriers always want miles, but they also want miles at the right time. We talk about today, you know, 1,000-mile load on Thursday is not quite as good as a 1,000-mile load on Wednesday, where they can deliver on Friday and then pick up another load. So look at the timing of it, and shippers have to do this as well. You know, shippers shipping loads on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, they might want to put their long haul loads to a Friday and get a better rate than a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then move their short haul loads on Monday and Tuesday. Wow. If we want to look at Indianapolis on a Monday, then all these lanes are going to be popular. The mid haul, the tweener haul, and the long haul. They'll all be around on Monday because they'll be able to turn their trucks on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday and keep them rolling, and then set themselves back up for the weekend again.
Fantastic. Timing is everything. Thank you, Donny, bringing it strong for us, an overview of the weekly market conditions and also anticipating and how do we position for the weekend. So we are here for you each and every business day at 4 o'clock on FreightWaves.com. Check us out, share the love, and yes, check us out now and subscribe, please, on our YouTube channel. So we will see you tomorrow, and in the meantime, don't worry, be happy.